What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my breakdown of Campaign Edition, all for February's online event, which is the CE block. Chris Nirvana Tool here. This time I am live, unlike the Saga one where I pre-recorded because I didn't think I could actually do it live with all the information. I am here to talk to you guys, and right off the bat, I get called a fat hungry cheese by Midge. So we are off to a great start already with this live broadcast. But hello, Sly Fox. Hello, Sanjitan. What up? What's going on, everybody? By all means, for this one, it's going to be obviously a little bit different than what I did for Saga. I want to interact with you guys, so any questions that you have as I kind of go through this, by all means, just banter in the chat as much as you want. If I say something stupid, let me know, which I definitely will. And that brings me kind of to my first caveat here. So I am kind of breaking down Campaign Edition as I kind of see it. I have not done any Campaign Edition games since the edition rotated out over a decade ago. So I do give you the caveat. I am not perfect. I will mess this up, as proven in Saga, where I rated Teferoth as an ugly warlord. And Teferoth is 2 of the top 4, 3 of the top 8. So I am human. This is how it is. So it also kind of shows that you guys like these things where I might encourage you to come prove me wrong. And I'll tell you right now, I love to be proved wrong. I love it. I love seeing you guys just say, Vac, you had a wrong idea saying that this warlord sucks. I'm going to show you what I can do. Like, I love seeing that. So please, let's do this more. And I already have the request that can you let everyone know that how terrible Raziel is for CE and how many important cards it loses. That speaks for itself, but we shall get to that when we get down to elves. But to start us off, let's see. Fat Kid would like a jumbo burger and sour cream chips. Unfortunately, I get paid a lot more to not do that anymore, Fat Kid. So real job, big boy job, pays a lot better than the comic book store. So, without further ado, before we get into the factions, I do want to talk about some key cards that kind of shape this meta. And this is something I didn't do for Saga. So, starting off there, these are cards to remember. Not necessarily saying like these are the most powerful cards, and you'll see that some of them I'm just kind of giving examples where we have these kind of theme cards, and I'll get to each of those. So, don't weigh too much specifically on this, but I feel like these are good examples to kind of talk about and just kind of explain what you need to really know about the meta before you start building and just things to kind of keep in mind. So I will start from left to right. So taking a look, the card directly, this is harder than you think, right there. Door to the World. So from Southern Kingdoms, all the faction sieges are in this, as Southern Kingdoms overlaps with both the Saga event and Campaign Edition. So just always keep in mind with those. Door to the World especially is the one I kind of wanted to just feature there. Warlords like Natesh. And if you're a Dwarf Warlord, you're using Door to the World. But especially like Natesh, he will use Door to the World twice in a turn. You get so much mileage out of that. Halo of Secrets is phenomenal. Halo of Fire for the Mercenaries. It's also phenomenal. So a lot of good options there. Just keep in mind that they're there, as well as the Crones. So the Crones are Kill Us of Flesh. So they have the elf right there. Especially Kill Us, I'm showing, because Capix, who is not on this slide, but should be. I just didn't put any really faction characters other than this because that's what the second half of this will be. But Kill Us of Flesh is going to be huge, especially because in this block we got the set Sneak Attack, which had a bunch of characters who had abilities when they enter play. They would react to entering play and do all that. So Kill Us of Flesh basically forces that character to go away and come back into play, triggering that ability. So Capix is something that can be Kill Us of Flesh. And then just you get that ability to remove an item within 2 ranks off the bat. Thank you, Sly Fox, for hosting my stream. I appreciate it, buddy. So things like that, on so many more. Like Capix is just one example, but there's a whole lot of that. And then, there's another card on here, which right in the middle, that also kind of does a similar thing, but we'll get to that. Also, the set Dragon's Fury is involved here. Flame Fang is the dragon, the faction dragon that I wanted to show you. There are a lot more dragons in this block than there were in the first one. You got stuff like Carcass Worm, who also comes back. Kyle Dragon for the freaks, also tied to Jin Balford. So you have a lot of that going on. Like Rotwing and things like that may not be cool. Ice Falling. But like you have a lot of dragon options. Flame Fang by far, I think, is the strongest of them. So just remembering that dragon ranching is still very much alive. Then I have two examples of the epic heroes, which are also in this set. So we have, just making sure. So Sir Thomas of Kalinar. Where did I get Robin from? I don't even know. Holy crap. Sir Thomas of Kalinar, however you want to pronounce it, is with the Free Kingdoms. You'll see Free Kingdoms are a lot better than they were in Saga. And this guy makes it so blitzing is just so much easier. Brave Sir Robin, that is correct. But Sir Thomas of Kalinar, just the ability to make all your character, he is a win condition. You set up all your strikes, you get your front row filled to capacity based off of how much meat wall your opponents have in front of them, and then you pop Thomas and you just go for it. So he's very good. Sir Geoffrey Drack basically lets you be Master K. So he's also insanely good. And he has built-in protection because he gives adjacent Devonians defend. So the heroes themselves, there's also like some good ones with the elves, like Lorfa Ninja just start doing a whole bunch of range strikes. Check out all of them. They're all at least worth considering for sure. And then at the very bottom, another dwarf card, Supply. Now, as K-Pix is the item destruction, Supply is the card that makes Uber so much more reliable. You no longer have to hold cards in your hand if you can't equip them right away. If they're too high level, you just throw them to the discard, work your way back, and it'll be there. And you can have 3 supply in your deck. And while people are K-Pixing, if you have 3 supply out, you can just, depending on how big of a level it is and what the target is, you can always just keep recurring those items. So absolutely will define this meta, especially define the dwarves in this set. Supply by far. So that's just a little rundown there. And we kind of look in the middle. I wanted to look at a few actions and items. So I tried to kind of give like a little spread of this just by each faction. But main thing, starting at the very top row, Medusan Lord's Gambit, MLG, is it's a win condition right now in Ancients, and CE is where it first came out. I actually remember playtesting it. I remember the playtest name being Magical ICBM, Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, and it definitely lived up to that name. I will always call it ICBM because of that. But this is the one that it actually came out with. I believe is actually the toned down version. I like the way that card is designed. I think it's cool. Some people in the chat, especially Fat Kid I know, hates this card and wants it banned. But it is a really cool design. There's a lot of warlords who can take advantage of it. One who I think was just designed around it, Adonis the Cozener. It was definitely designed with that in mind. Contestite Title is one of the defining fighter actions, I would say. Uber is a thing here. And Contestite Title not only just impacts CE, you'll see it also come into play for Epic as well. Just the ability to make these Uber fighters so much more reliable. When you fail that Contestite Title, though, it feels really bad. So it leads to some cool moments like that. But usually when people are going to cast it, they're not going to lose. Especially dwarves who have Arla Fearvisight and can just have an insane amount of attack and not lose. Other wizard stuff, look at that. The top row is 3 out of 4 is wizard spells. So Sever the Flesh makes its appearance here in Campaign Edition. Thank God, because the Necromancers were already strong enough in Saga. But Sever the Flesh, before a character dies, you basically bring it back at 1 HP, and it's not dead. If you're a Necromancer, it comes back in ready. But again, with Sneak Attack, all those interplay abilities can be triggered with that. And even if you're not just an elf, like I keep using elves as an example, like Corrin Drak. If Corrin Drak dies, comes in, you get a free action too. So there's a whole lot of cool things you can do there. Paradigm Shift Thank God it is not in the same block as Gravity Flux. Like I thought at first when they announced that they were doing Saga Block, I thought Paradigm Shift came out in like Dominance or Betrayal. Thank God it didn't, because that plus Shift plus Flux is really stupid. But even then, just Paradigm Shift alone by itself, the ability to disrupt the opponent ranks as they're trying to fix it, as you're putting pressure on it, will still be worth it. And it's just a react straight up. So watch out for that. You might have to play around it, especially if you know your opponent's running it. You have to play around it because you will get beasted by it. And like just one false move, your Warlord's now within range of getting killed, and you lost a game that you had easily in hand. So going to the second row, looking at clerics here, we lose Mass Blessing from the Saga. So no longer the easy just order boom. Instead, we get the spend order, lift up your voices, which is also tied to canters. But it also, I believe, boosts skill, if I remember correctly. I can't see my little, it's a AC, or no, I think it's just AC and attack. I don't even remember off the top of my head. But lift up your voices with the canter ability kind of is the Mass Bless version of this. Okay, yeah, it does give skill as well. Yeah, so I have the Accord Lens here just in case I mess up. And it gives attack if you're a canter. So usually canters are going to want to do that. Canters like Lady of Mercy can do that. There's a few other ones that we'll kind of get to as we go. But this is, so you don't have to worry about Mass Blessing in clerics. They're a little toned down here. Lift up your voices is still really good. But we can kind of just keep that in mind when building. Monsieur Diplomacy is the rogue action I kind of want to feature. Not a lot of the rogue actions were kind of really noteworthy, but I say this one is worth it, especially if they're assassins. Just order DC 20 or take 2 wounds, and it can be recurred just by what your opponent does. It is really good, especially for stealthing and trespass, and then he's coming after you. Absolutely remember that this card exists, and consider that when building. If you don't have an answer, like things like cards like Devour are going to be worth considering to remove characters from the graveyard or actions from the graveyard like this. Clerics also have Seize Life. This is something that sees play today in Ancients. It is like the quote-unquote spend order healing spell because it also boosts it and it stabilizes your ranks for 1 turn. So just keep that in mind. Like consider that when you're looking at healing. Hero's Gambit is a promo for fighters, but it's huge. It's just order, do an attack that does an additional, all the strikes do an additional wound, and then the character dies at the end of turn. It's a level 1 action, so characters like Spencer Latham, who make their debut in this, will absolutely leverage that, or even just little characters. Sometimes it might just be all right, I just need one more push to kind of get to your Warlord and murder you. That'll also be there. So watch out for Hero's Gambit as a card. Shonagard's Mace is worth noting because in the Saga analysis, I mentioned he's terrible because he doesn't have his mace. And Gargoyles itself shouldn't be considered. With the mace coming in, absolutely worth considering. The boost itself on the item, just whoever's equipping it is already getting a huge boost. But then the ability to boost any other Gargoyle is just huge. Absolutely. Taking a look, Cardinal's Blessing. This will be noted with the Mercenary starters. I have Gilbert Bask listed, but there's any kind of permanent bonus that is being given can be increased with this, as long as it's not like HP. You can't give 5 bonus HP, but you'll see a lot of Cardinal's Blessing running around. Martyr's Hide is a card, like I don't want to call it like a negative play experience, like an NPE, but it is frustrating to play against. Just constantly defending, constantly reposting. This is the rogue item, I would say. So absolutely worth considering. The Tesh will put it on any kind of front rank or any kind of Uber, especially rogue, which I think rogues are the Uber here. There is Uber fighters, of course, as is standard in Saga, but Uber rogues is absolutely worth considering, if not the way to go. Zin's Secret. This is just that cheeky card that this could be a combo card. Giving the character who has it equipped -1 HP. You can do sneaky stuff with Lord Kestrel. Just sneak a character into the opposing ranks, have them put on the Zin of Secrets, and then just watch Zin of Secrets start equipping to the opposing items. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do there. So Just remember that card exists and see if you can build a cool version of that. I definitely will. I'll see what I can do. Bottom part, these are all set cards that I just kind of wanted to reference. Again, they're not specifically these versions. Like Kerberos is standard. I just really wanted to show this one and note that all the faction banners are in here. So you have, trying to remember, Core's banner for the dwarves. Every dwarf will play that without a doubt. Drax banner for the devs. If you want to start boosting up any of your characters, that buff is huge, especially on like someone like Inquisitor Chire. Kerberos is standard for every kind of cavalry, and that's another big thing to note too. Cavalry is absolutely viable here. In Saga, it was a little tougher. There was always either aggression or dragon ranching, would just outshine cavalry. But like the level 4 fighters putting on steeds and going up, or however you kind of want to do it, a support character with Dwarven cleric, just letting fighters go up, healing them while they do the beats. That is very much alive in this block. So keep that in mind and take a look at this. Remember, the standards exist. It's kind of like one of the check marks. Like, do I need any of these standards in my deck? Usually the answer is yes, but always consider even just a one of. The figurines also are alive in this, and they will be alive in the next block as well. Remember, they have been changed to, they're no longer classless items. They are items of the class that they support. Like the figurine of protection is a cleric item. So if you ever needed a way to kind of run 28 characters, always look at the figurine. Thank you for gifting the sub, Sly Fox, and Innocent Wrath for subscribing. Appreciate the support. But keep in mind for the figurines, if you need to kind of get even more characters, like there, you can almost probably run, like Lakar Usud can run almost like a 50 character deck with between the spells and these items like this to consider. But figurine of protection especially is super, super good. Just making you more stable. Take a look at that. Jaliel's Bracers. So Jaliel's Bracers, Sir Titan's Shield, these Overlord items, that they basically replaced what the tomes were, in like the Tome of Champions in Saga. Jaliel's Bracers being the strongest one, and the fact that these ones give you a feat of your choice, while in addition to giving you a level and an HP, they will be everywhere. Jaliel's Bracers, I got that out, will just help you Uber up so much faster and, drop one of those cards that I have in the right section over there. First, before that, there is it also will let you play these level 6 actions, which were promos in this block as well. Hand of Cunning is the example I have here. Just target a character and remove all their items from the game. So that's why I say Uber Rogues is to be considered. They have access to Hand of Cunning. So if they get the Uber versus Uber mirror match, you could just absolutely just like ruin someone's day with a Hand of Cunning. The Hand of Power is also good. The Wizard one, which all characters within 2 ranks, I believe, is DC 15 or take some wounds. So look at that one. The Fighter one, obviously you don't have Joden Drac around, but Joden loves the Hand of Power, so take a look at that. The Cleric one is probably worth skipping if I remember correctly. I even forgot what it does. But yeah, so remember that those exist. Taking a look at the top right now, we have a few classless items, especially the higher level ones that I want to touch on. Black Order Steed makes its debut here. This is what kind of fueled those Uber decks. Once a Uber deck is Black Order Steed, it has so much movement where it's able to move up, but it also can pull the opposing Warlord forward. So it's at level 11, so you got to work for it. But someone like Nitesh can easily equip it and get it on pretty quick. Belt of Champions as well. If you want to do some cute things with changing classes, this is where it came in. It was very, very cool. Orb of Dragonkind for dragon ranching. This is where that starts coming in and makes dragons non-unique. So just remember that's running around. Journal entry and War Journal, just some other classless promos I want to read. War Journal is if you need the ability to gain any certain feat and you kind of want to be able to have the reliability to flex of what it is. War Journal, always remember. And journal entry is to add the consistency. Spend order, search for a card is super good. And then we go to the bottom 5. these are just kind of generic, almost, they transcend classes. Most of them are classes except for one. But exhaustion, whether the first question you always ask at any meta should be, is exhaustion legal or not? Because you always have to play around it. A lot of people now should be able to. I mean, ancients, you always play around exhaustion. Same thing with the Saga, you especially played around it. But remember, it's still here. Infinity's End is a new one, though, that you will have to consider. Or I don't know if it was new. I don't remember if that came out in Seven Kingdoms or not. But Infinity's End is something that you need to watch out for. If you do an action twice, you will get a free auto 2 wounds. Someone could just randomly pull out a win. Just double Infinity's Ending you. You'll see Raziel play that. So watch out. You can also play it against Raziel if you really want to hurt him. But mind you, he's taking his cards. So watch out now. Veiled Passing. It's a level 1 cleric spell. And I say it transcends all classes because, again, there's so many like level 1 clerics that you can just have by default either as a starter and just have there. The ability to cancel an opposing react just could blow out your opponent. Any kind of disruption for their plans is huge in any kind of card game you play. Veiled Passing, by far, is one of the better ones. Just remember that. And if you're kind of looking for something, if you're always worried, like, okay, I have like a crazy combo. Like, for example, the deck I ran for Saga. Like, if I could run Veiled Passing in some form in the Kothka deck just to avoid people disrupting Karachok strikes in the back, like, it could just open up the possibilities and remove a lot of bad matchups that I might have. So that's just one example off the top of my head, but always remember that. Rescue. That is a promo that I didn't really start playing until like Ancients, post the game being gone for a while. But Rescue is a card that is absolutely worth a ×3 if you're scared, especially like just if you're expecting to get like sniped or just blown out from far away, or just even if you think you're going to get targeted, it's just before one of your characters gets targeted with an action, just cancel it, attach this to your warlord, you get -5 skill. So all these cavalry decks, like cavalry fighters, you can run 3 rescue, and in case someone does like mass hallucination on you, you can just boom, cancel it. There it goes with a rescue. Just drop it down, counterspell, have fun. And then Nodwick. With all the talk I had of Uber, Nodwick also comes in. Nodwick and supply. So Nodwick, of course, Nodwick's going to be super vulnerable because K-Pix is at ×3. So there is a lot of removal here. And that will lead to even more removal. Supply will offset that a bit. But Nodwick is around and always, usually, I wouldn't say always, considered a X1 in many, many decks, like recycling Hawk Hatchets you can do with Nodwick. So things like that. And that would be cards to remember. So if there are any other cards, like if there's any other card I would say that I kind of left off now, like I did this analysis a few days ago. And just as you kind of think more, like more ideas come by, that's just the nature of brewing for these things. Blind the Gods is a card that kind of comes out of Cleric Spell that you might want to consider. Just putting all, like after initiative is rolled, put everybody's hand on the top of your deck. And then each Warlord has the order to draw 3 cards. You can do that to basically say, all right, just starting armies, let's go, and see how that pays off. Or you just use it. Playing that is a way to thin your deck and get 6 cards a turn. So that's a really good one. And certain Warlords who can't draw, such as Raziel, will have fun with that one. Okay. So let's see. Paradigm Shift is one of the most busted cards ever printed. Absolutely is the case. Isn't there a Dev Fighter Warlord that can take advantage of Rescue because he doesn't get the minus skill from it? I don't remember. Trying to think of who that is. Chad, if you remember what Gleasus is talking about, that might have been one of the 4E ones you remember. Edric from EE. Okay. Yeah, I think that sounds right. Most common card held in hand is Veiled Passing. That or Exhaustion, Rogue Panda. So, and is Shadowstone Gargoyle CE? No, it's no CE. Okay, yeah, because that would be great with Sin Secrets. All right, guys. Prophet is also not CE. That's a good point. I don't know if Prophet could even equip that item if it's stealthed in anyway, so I think you're good. Alrighty, so with that, we're going to start moving to the factions, starting with the Warlords. Before I click over to the next slide, I will say it's going to go off of a similar scale of what I did when I did good, bad, and ugly. But for me to like say that middle tier is bad didn't feel right. So I slightly revised it to be not bad, as illustrated by the big, huge circle with the X. So the middle tier is considered not bad. We're not going to call it bad anymore. But, you know, you have your top, you have your green, your yellow, and your red. So here we have the Devonians. So we're going to break down and kind of go into this for good. At the top, and again, these aren't, I don't have them left to right as the strongest or anything like that. So any of the good or any of the bad, they're all interchangeable based on how it is. Just kind of how I kind of came across them when putting together this slide. So the first one we see here, Sir Alaron Dilchant. He is the definition of a cavalry warlord, and he is so good. Dev Paladin that you have giving all their paladins sword wraith, riding a repost. He's just generically good and will take advantage of a lot of paladin subclasses and the Devonian fighters. If you're looking for a cavalry warlord that is a fighter, this is the one to go with. And because you have him, you have someone like Gedmanetter all the way down in ugly because it's also a Dev Paladin. But Gedmanetter's ability just isn't worth it for Alaron. So there's very little reason that you would ever play Manetter over Alaron unless you have just, you know, that's what you just want to do. And Manetter's a little more front rank me. Alaron's more of a we. So he will be the cavalry warlord, I think. Inquisitor Chire absolutely dominated CE. So much so that he had to receive an errata. So what he's printed up here, or like his printed ability was just bonkers good. Thank God for the nerf. Absolutely, I can say. So he can only react once per turn to a character interplay, but he can react to your opponent's interplay abilities. So people go to K-Pix, you know, he can K-Pix them right back, which is pretty cool. But him with Broman, Zaros the Mist, Monkey's Paw, go up, go to town. Drax banner him, so he's just insane with attack bonus. Definitely worth considering. And then he has, if he's about to get murdered, like most fighters in the front rank do, even though he's not a fighter, he's a monk, but any front rank beater in the front rank, he can spend react and run away if a melee strike's about to murder his face. So even with the errata, he's still very much playable and still in the good tier. If he was pre-errated and like had no errata, I'd have to kind of move him like slightly above the actual word Devonians, maybe even like above that little lightning bolt there, or through the ceiling of my roof, because that's how good he was. Lord Kestrel was good in the Saga block, still good now for the very same reasons. I remember him. He was one of the in early CE. He was one of the warlords I ran. Just him with Isidran Warrior and Abd al-Jalar was super cool and super blitzy. They fixed Isidran Warrior, thank God. I cannot enter the play in the front rank because that was a mistake. But you can still do cool stuff like that. You can do MLG Bomb with him. He gets characters like Alistair, who, when they receive a skill boost, can now cast level 5 spells. So he can support. He can do it himself. 12 skill, absolutely awesome. So Kestrel is just a beautifully designed warlord. Awesome art. I love the Tufel Tiger art that comes in with campaign edition too. Always will be good. Always has been good. Worth considering. The other wizard that you could play is Adonis for his defensive abilities and the ability to boost skill. He will be probably, you can do MLG and Kestrel, but I think Adonis is the MLG real engine just because of the skill boost every time someone fails one of the DC checks that he gets. So he's still good. Still watch out for him. Then we move to the not bad section. Lord Gahid Relian, fan favorite. Everyone like, oh yeah. But like, again, he suffers from, he was printed early on. They didn't update anything yet. Rolling 2 initiative, good. Like you can build a good Lord Gahid deck and do fine if it's just that's what you want. I like the Saga art better. This, you know, the Kiss version right here. I don't know. I just put it in there just because it was campaign edition, but I do like the old Saga art of him better. But you can do Lord Gahid fine if you feel like initiative is really what you want, but I doubt it. I have Dallin here, who I did not leave off this time. I did not forget he existed. But I will say you should forget he existed because he's cursed. I have him in the middle of the tier because, again, all of his abilities say he's got a lot going on. He's got some cool things he can do. There's a lot to work with here. There should be a good version of Dallin. He just will never perform. It's just, I don't know. I've never seen him actually just get over the hump. And if he has, it's been sporadic. But he never had a time to shine, and he still won't here. He'll be playable if we can get it, but I wouldn't be shocked if you played him, had an actual good build of him, and still ended up going 0-6 because he's cursed. Cardinal Cray is the Cantor Warlord for Devonians, and I believe, he is the only cleric too. We're only cleric because Ged Jaroslav should not even be remembered as a character, but he is the cleric if you need that in Devonians, and his ability is really cool of gaining charges to kind of just point click shrink somebody and then just hurt them. There's a lot you can do with that. He was always, again, middle tier, was always good, never really got over the hump. His art is awesome. I love this art. Really cool painting right there. Next we have Karko Zin, who is the fighter wizard front rank, but he has built-in protection, which is huge. The ability to just, move an action or a strike off of him is what gives him the edge over Sorceress Green, who I have down in ugly. There's very little reason you would ever have to play Sorceress Green, who I loved for Saga. I thought I like her in CE2, like early on too. When she first came out, the fireball version of it is also pretty cool. She's just a floating fire hair thing. But so I feel bad to put Sorceress Green in ugly, but it's very little you get from her that you just can't get better at a Karko Zin. So he's an okay. He can do fine, and has a lot of tricks with both of his classes and his innate protection. Cassia the Saint I have as not bad, but she does struggle to have a reason over Kestrel and Adonis. Because the other two are just more thing. With Cassia, I would say she's probably the blitz option. The ability to kill one of your characters and go an extra and have your spell go an extra rank could give you a first action magic missile for 5 if you want to get the mini Master K feel. And you can kill cards like Gene Court Initiate and get some bonus there. So she has a lot of potential, but it's really going to be tough. She's a different build than Kestrel and Adonis for sure. I guess you could just play it normal and try and go an extra rank, but I would run her as super blitzy. And that's what I would kind of say. Just go for it. And then, so I already talked about Manetter being an ugly. I talked about Grain being an ugly. So, and those two are only there because the other Paladin option or the other Fighter Wizard option just completely outshine them. Gad Sharoslav, on the other hand, is just, it's just a miss. And it feels real bad. His ability where after a Storm Wraith is wounded, you get an extra order. So it's kind of like something you want for tempo, but with a Cleric Warlord, you ain't going to really need that tempo. And your character has to actually survive if you want them to do it. If it was, just worded differently or he had something else really worth playing, it would be cool. But the plan, it's printed as Astral. But if it was Planner, then, no. It was Astral, now it's Planner. But I think if he wasn't that, obviously he's got to be a Storm Wraith. But if he wasn't that, it'd almost be better. Being Planner is a liability almost in this block, I would say. A lot of wizards can just throw a chain lightning at you and murder your face. You do have protection, so there's things like that. And being a dev also helps because Halo of Secrets is phenomenal. But Ged Jaroslav just never was there, never really will be there. If you want to even do Storm Wraiths, it just gets outshined by Alaron because he does cooler things with the Storm Wraiths. So those are the Dev Warlords. Let's take a look at their starting army. They get a lot of good options here. Really, really good improvement from the Shield. I mean, they still had pretty good starters in Saga, but now they get almost, I would say, they're all stars. So Ged Carroll, super annoying with Adonis. 2 checks right off the bat if you ever want to touch this, and he's Planner. Just there's so many dice you have to roll just to attack a level 1. It's such a pain. Gene Court Initiate just gives you that sturdiness, and it's also a level 1 cleric who can play Veil Passing, so remember that. Devonian Courtier is a 2 HP option. I loved him in Rollin, but Rollin's not in this set, so you don't have to worry about that. But still, just if you needed that bulk, you can do it. But almost, I wouldn't even say need. If you're going to go bulk, you might not even need it. So he's probably at the bottom of this. Dilchan Keeper is... I will not be shocked if I see him as the most started Devonian level 1. The ability to just cancel every melee strikes and just redirect them, and it's just super good. The fact that it is only melee strike does hurt. There's a lot of good level 2 range strikers, so he could be hurt there. But that backed by some of the, like the Justinian who I have as a level 2, could be super good. And Obelite Hound is the starter if you want to do cavalry. It is a little weaker, obviously, because it's just a 12 AC, 1 HP character with 0 skill. But once a Devonian equips a steed, you just move it forward 1 rank. You can start 1 Obelite Hound and 2 Diligent Keepers. And if you're going to run a fighter, if you're going to run Inquisitor Chire, you put a camel and hound him up to round 2, and then you can use your steed. You're up in the front rank. So he's extra movement, whether for cavalry or me warlords. So absolutely worth a consideration there. Look at level 2. I threw Kane the Hunter there just because of the strike ability. If you need a level 2 that strikes, go for him. Nothing really too special there. Justinian is huge. Subtracting 2 and adding 2. Think about all the times that you played Warlord and you missed a strike by 1, or you just missed it. Like Justinian fixes that, and especially that you can just kind of start. His ability while in the discard pile, he gains +2 levels. I don't even remember why that was ever added there. I guess they were afraid of him coming in, or like I don't even remember what card would kind of interact with the level of a character in the discard pile. It's not like you could feel the bones him or anything like that. But but his react is really what you need, just starting him there. And again, a cleric. Cleric can do things. If you don't want to go Justinian, you can go Acolyte Door, which allows you to, like, once per turn before you roll a die, roll 2, and then you get to choose which one. Just adds so much consistency. Check back to my December Ancients tournament when I started that with Devonian Courtier. Devonian Courtier just to do some range strikes and just make sure I hit. So Acolyte Door is not as good outside of Rollin because she doesn't have a strike, but it's still a lot that she can do. She can play Exhaustion. She can do things like that. And her ability to reroll can be used aggressively or defensively. Your spot choice is really good. Lady Malagranz is just a 2 HP option in case you need that, if that's what you're looking for. And Cetra the Spark is just a little spice one I want to show. Just spend order, take the top card of your deck, and now you have a level 1 astral character. So if you want to go Swarm, you can do start her as an option. So that way she's a level 2. She's a wizard in case you want to do things like that. Things like wizard stuff, like spells. But also can add a innate strike at slower tempo where a character kind of goes in, but definitely worth a consideration. Maybe not the strongest on this list, but worth it. I don't know, Chad, if you think I missed any of the devs, just let me know, but I would say these. There's definitely other options, always based off of whatever warlord you choose. Kind of see what the synergy is, and the synergy is with your deck, but these are the ones that you can kind of start with if you're unsure, and then trying to tinker from there. So with that, let's take a look at the dwarves. So Dwarven Warlords. So again, we have like a little nice spread. We have 4 at the top, most in the middle, and 4 at the bottom. So a little bit more on the ugly side here for the dwarves, but the top are good. I am deathly afraid of the dwarves in Campaign Edition. Duty and Nitesh are the uber options that I had kind of spoken for. When Duty gets Contestai title going with Arla Favosite, gets all of his items on, and gets to the front rank, he's just going to sit there. And unless you can strip him of every single item, no strike's ever going to go anywhere unless he rolls a 1. He's going to repost and just attack. I am very much afraid of Duty. A few people who I've kind of talked to, they're like, I don't remember Duty ever being that oppressive. I seem to remember him being very, very impressive. Like impressive and oppressive, both. So I'm afraid of that warlord. I hope I don't see it. I probably will see it though. But Duty is super good. Nitesh, absolutely amazing. Nitesh might be the best dwarf, I think. It's actually a toss-up, though. Like, looking at the ones I have here on the list, like Nitesh was the one that he definitely at one point was a top-tier deck, one Gen Con I remember. And it was the Uber version. It was equip Blackwater Steed and go up with Ydra's Tooth and just murder somebody. He has the ability to play all level 1 actions, which kind of give you some spot options. Him being able to play level 1 cleric spells is really good. But there is a whole bunch of stuff. And then his ability to charisma is huge. That charisma bonus will pair with Core's Banner for him. And the ability to stand a lower level, make a charisma check to stand a lower level dwarf with Door to the World is really good. So let's start. Before I get to Doran, let's start with Priam Ironsoul. He is the cleric option. Defies the mechanic that defies the game, the rank and file system. It was just always like when you first saw this guy, it's like, wait, what does he do? Now that you've kind of played him, you can kind of just see what's going on. But yeah, he will make sure your ranks are secure. But of course, that does mean that you can't really stun them in the front. And his ability to ready it makes him the perfect cleric cavalry warlord. If you don't want to go if you kind of want to lack some stability for some kind of synergy, Doran, I think, is your option. There was a time where Doran was the deck to beat before Bramble was errated. Taking any kind of big dwarf fighter and equipping him with Bramble, stunned, wherever, stunning him to the front. That was a super good deck. And I probably could do it now. Bramble is obviously a little less effective, but there's still some cool options you can do. And I just love that art. That is badass art by Jason Angle right there. So I gave him the nod up there. He might not be good, but I'm going to put him there. Just why not? And then we will go to the not bad. So just taking a look, a lot of people, I'll start talking about Trespass. And a lot of people are saying like, Trespass, is in the not bad section. He is not bad. I have him as ranked as tier 2. You were right. Trespass can be super insane, especially with the new stealth rules. If you want to keep him in your rank, usually he's going to go into the opposing rank, but he only gets like 5 strikes. That works against him. But the assassin trait is huge. You tell me that Trespass is going to win this event. Not shocked. I see Florian basically saying Marco to come in here and yell at me that he's going to win with Trespass. It would not shock me at all. I have him middle tier. He is right on the brink. And just for the sake, kind of where do I balance him, dropped him down to tier 2. But I think he's 1.5 in my opinion. He can just throw a Monsieur Diplomacy while in that opposing rank and just murder somebody just randomly. He's probably the fast option for dwarfs next to Adiakar. I would say Trespass is probably the better fast version because he can also play the long game. Trespass, though, if that is the gripe you guys take, I agree with you guys because Trespass could absolutely just demolish this tournament. It's very possible. Super good going on there. Definitely consider him. Adiakar, I had him as good for Saga, and I don't think he had as much support. I think he gets a little bit more support here, but also Campaign Edition just kind of grows so much further. He can still be a very good deck, very aggressive deck, and just murder the opposing army first action with Talon and War. So definitely remember that. Adi had Chaos. Yes. Blacksteel Dagger is in CE, I believe. I'm pretty sure it is. I think I remember seeing that in CE. I think it falls out after Epic. Let's see. Black Steel Dagger is in Campaign Edition. Ancients, Campaign, and Saga. Yep. So you can put that BSD on them, but you have to do it in your ranks. Remember that. Then we have Garn. Garn I like, but I just think the other 2 Cleric Warlords are just stronger. When CE first came out, Garn was a really good deck. When Garn could equip the Chakrams that Fat Kid did, that was a really good deck. So much so that, we have a rule created because Fat Kid did that. But multiple rules, actually, in terms of time limit in the cut and the legality of Medusa Lord items. But he's just, if you build a Garn deck, you can probably do good with it. But He's going to be middle of the tier for this one. Same with Shronagard. He moves up from ugly to here with the new buff he has and having his mace. He's super good. But actually, we won't say he's super good. He's like not bad because that's exactly what the category I have him in. But he's viable. That's the important part. And then the Broken Earth. If you're looking for a jank version, Broken Earth is actually a pretty good deck. The ability to just transform into another gargoyle, just pop up and swing and go very aggressive. He's got a lot of support too. He has to put the mace on pretty much first turn whenever he draws it, but him with the mace is absolutely insane. We should have a category for weird. Broken Earth would be weird, but again, Broken Earth is super viable. Absolutely. Eddie's cool. Look at that art of the little just like the ground demon, as we'll call him, just popping up out of there. So really, really, really cool. I like him better than the Epic Edition art. This one just has so much more detail on him, but his actual playability is there. Looking at the ugly warlords, Valhalla Abyssbane just gets outclassed. It does a lot of things, but gets outclassed in just pretty much everything. Then we have Jorn of the Summit. Jorn was in the Learn to Play set. He is not I have him down there just because it's like all these other options you have for what he does. Like Doran's probably just better. And then fighters, you have Adi who might just be better than him. But you can build a playable Jorn deck and +1 level for equipping items and ready to target. So he could be just a support cavalry warlord and he's pretty good. So, but I had to drop him down there. I couldn't put him in the middle tier. Eater Chance, just not worth it at all. 17 AC is pretty good, but he just doesn't really have a lot kind of going for him. He's not the gargoyle option you want. You want Shronagard. I will pay money to see someone make a good Eater Chance deck. Yeah, I really wish to. Cool art though. I will talk about the art a lot. Art is really art is one of the best parts of this game. So just like taking a look at this, even going through these analysis, like one of the coolest things is just going back and, oh yeah, I remember this art. It was so cool. Last ugly war that I have, Lasan Warbreaker, someone who I actually built a deck for and wrote an article for in the old War Journal when he was first getting released. Like, how do you build a deck with him? Like, he's like got something going on, but it's just like not really worth it. Like everything that he could do, just somebody else can do better. If you're looking for someone to be like the dwarf to be like, Vac, why'd you put him in ugly? I'm gonna prove you wrong. Go Lasan Warbreaker. I would appreciate that. He's pretty cool. But let's go to the dwarf starters. So at the top, I have two kind of paired up together. So Talon of War is an option for the aggressive start. We kind of talked about that in Saga, so I won't spend too much time there. A newer start that comes into play is Serpent Scale Gargoyle and Opal Gargoyle. So Serpent Scale will be the starter for a Priam deck especially. You must have a cleric in your army to kind of start him in play, so always remember that, but you can always get a level 2 cleric that you see a whole bunch of that down there. But while your front rank doesn't have more characters in it, he has 2 HP, which is huge. And you can start 2 of that with Opal Gargoyle, who at the beginning of the phase just returns to your hand. You'll see Opal Gargoyle do some cool things with these one-strike gargoyles and just ready them if your opponent passes. So that's something to watch out for. Provider, I have as a level 1 starter option in case you want to give AC as it dies. It is a little stable, but I think it is the worst of the options. The real one that you want as your level 1 is Defiance. 2 HP, has -1 HP all spent. You can just kind of sit him there and then wait till the end of turn when you know he's not going to get wounded and then get, certain +1 strikes there. Defiance is probably the most remembered starter, I would say. But if you don't like that -1 ability and you kind of just want to go somewhere else, Provider is your option there. Level 2s, a lot of these are familiar from the Saga one. They're still here. And they're still good. Will, absolutely good. Need to play Will more than people are, because Will is insane. I think Wall is in like every single set. I think I remember seeing that at the spoiler and pulling them up, and it's like, oh, what formats are he illegal for? And it's just like a massive paragraph. Demented is a 2 HP option that has a lot of cool stuff. So like before I had like, I don't even remember, Fortune and Guardian. I had a bunch of the 2 HP options in the Saga version. This guy actually has some cool class abilities where he makes a DC check to kind of stun somebody based off of what class of characters you have. So you can get a lot of... He can actually just come in clutch, really, and just stun a fighter warlord, depending on if like Artec is running up against you, based off of how you have everything set up. So just consider him for the 2 HP option, sure. Arla Favorsight, you'll see her as a starter. Her ability doesn't say like, okay, I want to just do things turn one that's going to win me the game. Her ability is much more for longevity, but she is a starter in any deck that's going to run Contested Title. So you'll have her sitting there probably next to a wall to protect her in case someone's going to take a shot at her. But you start her just to kind of sit there. Him, again, is if based off of the matchup, if there you have characters that are going to do melee strikes right off the bat, you can get a free mass blessing with 2 of them right off the bat. The issue is it's a lot of good level 2 range strikers. He does not trigger off on range strikes. So that is the kind of drawback there, but he's still really, really good. Labor is the uber option. Adjacent Dwarf. Before a Dwarf equips an item, spend react to get +2 level for equipping items. So if you are being forced to the front and you need to still kind of put on those big items that you need to sit in the back for, he helps out there. So he might be worth starting, especially if you're going to draw a whole bunch of HP worth of Dwarf and just throw them up there. Have that Labor there, kind of even maneuver him back and set it up for a turn 2 Blackwater Steed. So he's worth considering. And then Lightstone Gargoyle is, if you need a strike in rank 2, that's who it is. Just if you need to kind of move up and react, like you can do that in Adi. Move up Lightstone Gargoyle, react, swing, use his ability, swing with Talon, kill somebody, kill Talon, double war, so you got 4 strikes first action. Like you can do things like that. So he'll always get the mention there. But that is the Dwarves. Let's see. People asking, isn't Chant CE? It would be good for duty. I don't know if Chant is. Let's see. Thankfully, I have... Wow, I wrote chat instead of Chant. Let's learn how to spell. Yes, Chant is in Campaign Legal. Yep. So, you guys talking about that? I'll pop this up. So, also an option is a level 1 Canter. This is the 4E version, but it is Campaign Legal, as seen right here. Adjacent... Doors adjacent to it have +2 AC, so if you start 3 of them, you can get that. So yeah, I'd say he's absolutely worth... He can be a good option. I just think that the other ones that we have are just better. So like Defiance is probably just better. Provider, I guess you can make the argument that Chant is better than Provider. But he has +2 skill, so Chant has +2 skill over Provider, so that could be an option there. So you do have some good options. Sanjitan saying no love for Martyr. Martyr, it basically would fill the role of Talon, but again, Martyr reacts to melee strikes. With range strikes being huge, he does lose a lot of his gusto. So option, yes, but I thought he would kind of leave him off for that. So I don't want to say everything you guys can do. Just want to give you guys some of the options, like the core options, as we will. So that concludes the Dwarves. Are we ready to move on to the faction that is essentially busted into every single edition of the game? I want to know who paid and bribed AEG to make elves insane in every single format that exists. So let's take a look at the elves. And that's a lot of good warlords at the top. Probably no surprises here. Except for maybe me putting Raziel in good. Raziel should probably be an ugly, as the chat has told me. So, Audrey, Cathal Rowan, Lakar, Raziel, Carebray, and Fade Rowan. They are all tier 1. They can all win this event. And probably even the middle tier 2. So Audrey and Cathal, I'll talk to them both at the same time. They are the range strike options. Audrey is kind of like a support. Cathal is more of the I'm going to snipe you out and murder you. Cathal was the other learn to play warlord that came in with Jorn, but Cathal has definitely been better. I think there was a what's his face? I can't even remember. Shane was he's doing the straw poll of what warlords could play. Was saying that Cathal is his favorite. So he's like, oh, please don't do me dirty on the analysis. I would never do that. Cathal could be a top 5 warlord for sure. Or yeah, it's probably better than it might be competing with these other 5 that are in there. But Cathal is super good, super good. Audrey, for that same reason, is also really good, but definitely a me. The discard ability to boost a DC spell or a range strike gives it some more flexibility if you want to get really creative. But absolutely, both of these couldn't essentially run the same deck. Having the Scout and Bard subclasses is really good for Audrey. Taking a look at Lakar. Lakar seems rather vulnerable at first, 13 AC, 2 HP. And I remember when he first came out, a lot of people were kind of like, oh, this guy ain't good. And then good old Jeremy Black, Xenophobe, showed up to, I don't know if it was Origins or Gen Con, with a Lakar Shoot deck and ran a cut. And it was kind of what I mentioned before. Every single spell and every single card in his deck was essentially a character with Call the Abyss, the figurines, if I think it was. I don't know if all of them were in at the time. I don't know, because those came in later. They're like, I don't remember the exact specifics, but also he could use Sever Flesh too to kind of keep the board flooded and just recur a lot of cards. And the thing with him is you can run a lot of those situational cards you'll need and just kind of scribe them onto him face down and just always be drawing 5 cards. So there isn't a lot of card draw in this, nowhere near like the Saga block. So the card gives you that kind of card economy, I would say, by having a secondary hand that just kind of stays on him. Now, of course, if you're going to keep failing Scribe, then that's rough. But the Summoner trait, just flooding the board and Swarm, this is the warlord to do that with. I will talk about Raziel. Again, still see it in the chat. Like, nope, he's terrible. The only thing I will say about Raziel is there is an ancient build right now of Raziel, one that I have run too. I'd say it's 90% legal in this block of the cards. You lose Jackals. But all the other stuff is essentially there. He can just run the super meta cards and just have an answer for everything, control it. And unlike in Saga, where I said he was a trap, you all listened to me. Good job. Gets Isidra back. Or not gets it back. Gets it introduced now. So has the aggressive ability, if needed, to combine with the control features. Carebrae Netherin is the Assassin Warlord that we have up here. It is the front rank rogue option, I would say. We have 4 of the rogues up there in the top. But Carebrae can just outright just surprise. Again, this like the assassin trait is just surprise murder in campaign edition. Super strong. Monsieur Diplomacy taking out against, especially against cavalry decks. Monsieur Diplomacy point clicks deletes a level 4 character, most level 4 characters that you just invested a lot in, and then can easily keep going with it. Lowering skills with tie bass and things like that. And just having the ability to run around. 9 skill is huge. Really, really good. His attacks are a little low, but still. Also good. Rogue Panda has played Carebrae so much, so I see him kind of chiming in here. His own ability will give you control too. Yep, that is true. So just pitching, discarding to either wound or spend people just kind of sets up everything he wants to do, and you have a lot of flexibility. It's a really cool ability there where you can just kind of have that choice. So definitely worth considering. And then speaking of undead things, Fade Rowan, Fade Rowan came out, and it's like, you'll see when we get to Mothrags. This was actually a conversation I was having with Vic yesterday, who, if you guys checked out the stream I did yesterday where we played some of these Saga block decks, one of his comment that he said too was, you'll see when we get to Mothrags, one of the Mothrag warlords is Norn, a rogue wizard, level 4, and they're like, well, can't have a rogue wizard who can equip all those good rogue and wizard items. Like, we got to give it -1 level just because, we're afraid of it equipping some items or something like that. For some reason, it needed that drawback. And then just, I don't know if it's 1 or 2 sets later, out pops Fade Rowan for the Elves. It's like, you know what? Let's give it 3 classes. Let's make it level 4. Let's give it an insane 12 skill. And let's make it Undead, Necromancer, so you get the subclass too. One of the better subclasses. And why not just make it Ghostly and make it Planner? Oh, and have a built-in range strike. So Fade is, I do a whole lot. I think he might be the Blitz option here, the Spell Blitz version for sure. But you can Blitz with Razio, you can Blitz with Caffle. I don't think you don't get any kind of Fellblow combo, which is kind of where he's moved into in Ancients. He's not really a Spell Blitzy there, but he's the Vorpal, Fellblow, Glyph of Fate, boom. But having 3 classes to play with opens up a lot of options and a lot of creativity. So if you're looking for a really, really good, really strong, probably top 5 again, Warlords in the set, Fade is there. Do some cool stuff with it. You have all these options with having 3 classes, you have a lot of flexibility. So let's look at the not bad. Rustic Umbala is super good in Ancients now. Just the ability to recur everything and boost up. Doesn't have Mass Blessing, so that's going to hurt it. It doesn't have a lot of toys, but you can do a Undead Horde. Like, you get the Hungry Dead. You get Titanis' Slaves. So you got a lot of those mid-tier or like mid-level undead that you could build a good deck with. Cleric support is there. You can put Baskerite Mark on them to make them even stronger. So he's okay. Wouldn't be surprised if I see someone do pretty well with him. I would say he's like a, slightly above 500 Warlord, but he can do that. Bronwyn Tanzik, I want to put in good. I love this card. It is so cool. Love the art, and the possibilities of deck building are awesome. So Bronwyn Tanzik just lets you, based off of wherever she is, just discard a card and just insanely boost the level for 1 spell of anything. So you can go first action Chain Lightning with your level 2 Nelia Calyx if you want from the front rank. I don't even want to kind of go through all the options here, but there's a lot of cool things. The Hand of Power, that's something she can kind of help you out with. So you can do so much there. The possibilities are in actual Ancients. I actually have a deck saved in my Untapped where I was trying to first action Secrets of the Sun with her, where it's just, all right, I'm going to perform a melee strike or a +5 or +6 melee strike at every character within the first ranks and kind of do's in that. Yeah, exactly. Everyone's referring to her as Nuclear Bronwyn. Yes, you can first action Mental Assault your Warlord, 5 DC 24s for a Wound of Peace. Yes. So this is the combo Warlord. This is the fun Warlord. This is the creative Warlord. Definitely look at that. And this art, I think it's by Lynn Hunter. That looks like a Lynn Hunter art. It's just beautiful. I love the color scheme there. Really, really cool. Kurios Bodak is the undead option, also a Necromancer. I have him down here. His ability to just kill an undead and then have a critical success also kind of usually screams like combo there. But he can just do, he's fine. I wasn't sure 100% where to kind of go with him. I know people were using him for Fellblow with that ability, but Fellblow is not in this. He's not CE legal. Every time I say these things, it's like I looked these up before I went, and then it's like now I don't remember. Yeah, okay, Fellblow is not legal, but that's where he was cool as a open Warlord there. But he's just not bad. You can build something with him, and you have a lot of options. Just his ability to set up a critical success could be for him with a Chain Lightning, just to murder somebody, or like a big spell. You can do a whole bunch of stuff. Kier Scenari was, again, it's another one of the Jason Angle promo Warlords that kind of came in those tins. I miss those tins. Those tins are so good. But she was the elf version. She steals characters, so kind of pull the strings. Just click that, DC 15. This is my character now, and it has stealth. So you can do her spell blitz and with the rank disruption, especially if they're going to run lower skill cavalry characters. She's a bit squishy at 12 AC. 11 skill is really good. But of course, like you look at Fade and you're like, I guess I can just do Fade. But you can build a good Kira deck. Like if you're looking for to still do the good stuff there, you can look at her. So we get to the ugly warlords. They all look very familiar from the Saga. It was just, here we go with Saga. Even then with Saga, they were just all kind of like trending upward in power, and then just whoop, they just went all the way higher. So Teferoth, I made the mistake putting her ugly for Saga. There's no Wheel of Death in here. There's no Phantasm. She's staying in ugly for here. You can do cool stuff with her, though. A lot more to do with her in terms of level 1 spells. So a lot more to do with her ability, which is cool. I guess maybe when they kind of brought her in, they were like, yeah, let's see how we can kind of flesh that out more. So she can just have anybody in her army cast Din's attention, which is really cool. But usually you have a wizard or a mentalist that can do that anyway. But the Necromancer trait is still good. First things like Sever the Flesh, yes. So worth considering. Icarus in the first, in just the CE and Southern Kingdom set was pretty cool because you can just do an Uber version. And that's one of the things somebody tried in Saga as well. But just the addition evolved past him as he went. Same with Wrathy or Wraith, however you guys want to say it. Not bad. Like if it's there, it's cool, but it's just like there's so many more other options. Like, why would you ever go Wrathy over Carebrae? You get the Assassin trait just to get the discard maneuver, but even then, like, you don't even get discard synergy with Carebrae. Audrey is a kind of better Wee Warlord. Cathal will do any range strikes. Wrathy is a good starter Warlord for sure. Has a bow though, and no innate range strike. Remember that was always the talk of it when that art first got revealed. It's like, why does he have a bow? I mean, he doesn't have a range strike. Like, don't do that. Like, but he had a bow on the first one too. It just wasn't as prominent. Here, it's like I'm clearly shooting. But just even the bad elves are still good, just because the elves are just so good. We will go to now the Elven starters. There is the least amount of characters that I have on any faction on the elves, but that does not mean the quality is not there. I have 3 options for level 1. These are the only 3 options you will ever need. They are insane. So, starting from left to right, Amatria Tanzik came out when early on in CE there was the elves were struggling with a level 1 starter option. None of these 3 were viable as an option. So that was always the kind of, I guess maybe that might have been the balance drawback for the elves, was they didn't have a good starter. When Amatria came out, it was super good. Before opposing character kills it with a strike or action, so it's not even just a melee strike, DC 12 or suffer a wound, super, super good. And then you can also it's before target opponent kills. So you react, it dies, you bring it back. So you still get the DC 12. There's a lot of synergy there. Javin is the other option. Just the astral start makes it so good. It's undead. It's planar. Like it's planar. And it stops aggressive decks from just crushing the squishy elves because it's still going towards the Elven game of completely disrupting you by making your ranks just fall without having to kill characters. So probably the starter, I'd say. I started in Ancients usually when I play elves, but Tyrius is also, as we saw, a lot of people went Tyrius for Saga block, and you can still just run that same thing. This is the safe bet, I would say. Tyrius stealth will succeed more times than not. Plus 0 strike is nothing really right, but 12 AC is still also good. 3 skill, very good there. I see other people saying that I should mention Tybast. The thing with Tybast, it is an unconventional starter. You were right. But Tybast is somebody you kind of want to chuck, just discard. So you have a bunch of abilities to do that. You could start it with Carebrae, but I don't think you really need to. I think you can start this, draw the Tybast, and still be fine. But you could go all in. So taking a look at the level 2s, there's a little bit more here, but even then, it's still very kind of linear on what you're going to do. Irolas came out same time with Amatria Tanzik, as you can see, both drawn by Beat. So they have that same art style. Just the innate strike has the scout trait, and then before it dies, it does something. So again, like if you're going to recur this before it dies, it shoots and can perform it while stunned. So just those two made those elf starting army just so much more reliable. I'd say he's the range striking option. The other two range striking options we have here are Talon or Elise. Now, Talon is if you want to discard a card, so you might have Tybash, you might have, I think Treyek is legal. Pretty sure Treyek is legal. Yep, Treyek is legal. So you can also, I will not start him, but I will show him on the Accord lands. So this is also going to be a Raziel card for sure, but any kind of discard ability, you get this where you get the character, you don't lose the card advantage, so absolutely worth it. Elise is the first turn, gives you the marksmanship if you need it, and then Isidra is really just set to Raziel, but it completely makes that deck gross. If you want to get Rich Carter on us, I'll say, we'll call it getting Rich Carter. We won't say it any other way. You can start Yar, a level 1 mentalist, with Isidra, and that kind of counts as discarding a card and milling the opponent and triggering Isidra. Varesha, yes, is also a good starter. Had that mentioned in my Saga one. I just kind of cut it out. Nobody even ran her in Saga, so I didn't feel I needed to kind of mention her here again. But yes, she's always an option, and she is a wizard, so you can kind of do that. Talking a lot really dries out your throat. Just letting you know. So Skyrek is the last starter I have here. This is really good with, I'm drawing a blank, Rustic Umbala. But even then, recurring your Javins, that's what Skyrek can do. It doesn't have Bone Golem, so he doesn't have that going for him, but still worth a consideration. 5 skill is really good, Necromancer trait, so you have a lot of options here. Can do his action while stunned. The fact that they gave, like, Irolas can do it while stunned, Skyrek, it's gross. It's absolutely gross. Elves, again, I don't know, I'm going to say they are the faction to beat. They're one of the factions to beat. I do think Dwarves are really good there, and then the faction that we will now move to, Free Kingdoms. I think the Free Kingdoms are no joke. So let's take a look at these Warlords. You see a lot, again, at the very top. So I think what happened was, they looked at they looked at the Free Kingdoms in Saga. They had no starting army or anything like that. They had no super insane warlords. They had just a lot of options, but now they just got good warlord after good warlord after good warlord. Even the ugly warlords that I have down here, like Karawadrith. I won a convention playing Karawadrith, like early on in CE. I don't even say early, it was like mid-tier. So like she's still good and still playable, but I have her ugly. I think I'm just giving you guys a preview of this. I think for the Free Kingdoms, you don't have to start with the warlords. You have to start with the starters, because where they had no starters that were really great, and they're like most of their starters were just absolute garbage for the Saga block. Now it's insane. Almost every single good Free Kingdom starting character, except for like Ryan Mornington and Scarlet, all came in this block, and they also transcend into Epic. Like Freaks became, I can win with just my starting army, mainly because of these two right here, Spencer Latham and Brother Domini. You have 2+2 strikes right off the bat. You're putting the aggression. You have to hit a 14 AC Domini, which is not, it's easier said than done. And then they can have just another Brother Domini even if you kill it. You can also do, I have those two together as the option for starter. You have Jal Forsyth and Kalia Smythe, so that can do the tri-class start, which was really cool. And I think that's kind of what they were intending with Brother Domini, Jal, and Kalia. But then like Spencer Latham came, and you can just kind of go generic there. But doing the Tricon is a little bit more stylish. Not as raw strength as Spencer Latham, but you can do the ability. Kalia, I love the ability to just pull a warlord up and then just murder their face. So those are insanely good. Serenafan is the one that kind of came over from Saga. She's there just because of Dukat. That's the only reason why you'll ever start her other than that. you never really want to. Lear Militias here, I'm just mentioning them. You probably don't even want to start this either, but if you want to have like a super defensive start where you have level 1s in your deck and you can search it up, like if Lear Militia came around in the days of Darmy, like that could be a starter right there. Just searching out more level 1s for that, because they're good now in Agents. Just worth noting that they're here. And the fact that Jaius and Fret is the last level 1 that I have to mention is just absolutely bonkers. She gives, like, when she dies, she's in. Your Warlord has the ability, in order to remove her from the game, to just move forward or backward 1 rank. No, just forward. She only moves forward, not backward. Okay, you gave a little bit of power decrease there. So that's good to know. She's just like, you don't have to run steeds. You can just run her, because then that means you're either not killing my army, or you're making the whole Warlord that I'm probably building around, giving them the ability to run to the front. Like, Jason also is, like, the fact that she's the last one I'm mentioning in all this, it's like, oh my god, you have so many options for Free Kingdoms. The starters are the Warlords. They really are. And just think about that. You can run this little weenie blitz right here with a Free Kingdoms cleric, Lady of Mercy, with Blind the Gods. So you basically put your hands all on the top of your deck and be like, all right, we're going to play with just starting armies. I got Brother Dominic and Spencer, backed by some also really good level 2s. What are you going to do about it? So let's actually talk about the level 2s. I love how the first one I put, I don't even know why I put Warm Brood as the first one. It's just there if you want to go Jin Valford. You can do a Jin Valford 6-man blitz, and that's what I remember this card from. Before an opposing character falls forward from an illegal rank, move a lycanthrope forward 1 rank. Jin Valford is a lycanthrope. So you can go first action Salai Eskar, push someone back and it's level 1, double Warm Brood, up goes Jin Valford, and he doesn't get exhausted or anything like that. It's just a cool interaction. I had that deck. I ran it in a Midnight Madness one time and actually made the top 8 somehow. I think I was running it because it was like there was a bounty for making it without a open deck. But it was so cool. It worked and I love it. I have a soft spot for it, so I will mention it. Joseph Krieg just gives any Free Kingdom the ability to remove him from the game to do a +4 strike. And he has an innate strike, so he's just super good to start. Glenn the Blaze, he's like just multi-strike, +0, and he's a wizard. So if you do have some kind of spell blitz option, he's the one to kind of do it. And his reactive once per turn to get an extra strike is just good. Like, well, thank God it's only +0. But he is a bit squishy at 10 AC, 1 HP. 3 skills, really good, but he is a wizard, so it makes sense. Farrell Wadrith. This might be the starter, though, that you want to go for at level 2. After a character in the rank dies, perform +2 range checks. So you start 2 of those, double Spencer, Brother Dominic. You basically set your opponent up to be like, hey, you have to kill his Brother Dominic, otherwise these Spencers are going to kill you. But then when you kill Dominic, then the Farrells also get that temple and go. And before you know it, you don't even have your Warlord starting in the front rank alone before you really get to take more than 2 actions. So you can just get diced by the Free Kingdoms here. Kalinar Guard is a familiar that can equip and give you the ability to move back. I have him there just as a unconventional starter. Same with Bradley if you want a 2 HP thing. 10 AC Bradley. Look at that. Look at that MRP. But Bradley will always be mentioned. Bradley gets respect. Those are the Free Kingdom starters. So actually, because of this, that makes all of your Free Kingdoms on here playable. Even the ugly ones. You can be good just because of those. But now that I've kind of done that, I can kind of delve into each of these Warlords now themselves. So yes, someone is just mentioning all the rogues in the top tier. Yes, starting with Trevane Cartwright. This was again tin promo Warlord from Jason Engel. Super cool art, the Ninja Man over here. 3 innate strikes, giving other Free Kingdoms boosts because it's giving them repost and some AC. And after another character misses with a melee strike, he can just discard and get strike generation. So he is massive strike generation. He is a me Warlord with a Wii ability. So he's just all around good. Stats are insane. As characters die, he can do that. Definitely one to watch. Our resident Free Kingdoms loyalist Chase was saying in Discord that he never tried it. I don't know how. Trevane could have been probably the best free kingdom at one point in CE. I guess he probably wasn't just playing as much there. So taking a look, Lady of Mercy, who I already mentioned, she's a canter. So she gets that. Luckily, she's only level 4. There's the EE version that gets incorrectly printed as like a 5-level character, the 5th-level character. Thank God. But super cool art here, like a pirate, rogue, canter. She has a charisma bonus to boost that, but crits on a 17 or higher and stuns it. So she is ultimate weenie blitz rush. She can lift up your voices to boost them up. She can play blind the gods to make it where you're only playing with those little cards. So she is absolutely top tier. Layer John Hawthorne, one close to my heart, one who I've had a lot of success playing. Almost took the U.S. championship with him. Lost to Durin. Fury of Hate playing him. All I needed to do was roll a 12 or better on 3 strikes, and I missed all of them. And then Richard Bowers-Dean, right after I did that, just came over and was like, damn, you would have won if you just did this. Rolls the dice and rolls exactly a 12. That's something that only someone like the patron saint of Medusa Lord can do. But Layer just getting Ice Talon and getting Cloud Racer and just machine gunning is good. Cloud Racer is legal in this, I believe so. Please. So how people were running the Sakar version of with Angel Tears, yes. So Cloud Racer is in it. So how people were just machine gunning cards from their hand with Angel Tears, you can do that with Layer John Hawthorne and Cloud Racer, and it's better because now they're +4s. And he's got riding, so he gets even more mileage out of it. Doesn't have the Scout or no Scout or Ranger or any kind of subclass like that, but he doesn't need it. He loses some stuff like Sniper Shot and everything like that, but again, the additional wound has to come with Ice Talon. Jenny mentioned Amulet of Waking and move Layer John to rank 7,000. That's a big number. Yes, that used to be a deck like where the way the rulings used to work is if you move Layer John all the way back like a million ranks, he would fix all those ranks first before he reacts, and he reacts a million times and just instantly shoots you. They closed that loop, so there is no loop to my knowledge. Please tell me that that's not possible. If someone thinks it's possible, let me know. Jackie Winston is a really good cavalry warlord here. Super cool design. It is a bard, probably the best bard. I don't think but coming from things like Wraither Magic. Well, Lorena Canette's also up there as a bard. But she gets a lot of like spirit singing and cool things like that. Whenever she does a spend order, as a bard only spend order, she can just stand up, so she can go double spirit singing, which gives her a lot of cool stuff. Like with Barrett Yeskar, just being able to just get him up there, stand him up, and ready him twice can really just seal a deal. I love the reactability, the once per turn. Like, I just need a really good roll and I just need to hit. Like, that's so cool and just so aware of just the design of Warlord, where the dice, if people think the dice is everything, you can gravitate to Jackie for that. All right, there's one I just really need to hit, and that's it. And that's such a, like, for any kind of, Dungeons and Dragons campaign, like, that's such a bard ability, too. Really cool design. Really like that Warlord. Ducat was also mentioned in Saga. Gets even stronger now in CE, just with even better options. Having him start Pharaoh Wadrith is pretty gross, but there's also just better spells he can do. You can have him. He can have characters running Veil Passing because that's a spell he can chuck to do strikes. And then you have the cover art that was on my little intro there. Good old Albrecht, drawn by Drew Baker. I got that out. An iconic image for Warlord, absolutely. So triple class fighter rogue cleric, or cleric fighter rogue, it doesn't really matter what order, has magic resistance as a planar warlord, which is very important. So has the stability, but it's just super strike. So you can do Uber Albrecht, you can do Blitz Albrecht. Albrecht had its time in the sun, especially when it was able to do Tufel Tiger's Lies before that card got errated. That just made to where it's like Tufel Tiger's Lies lets you, actually, let's just pull it up. I have the Corlands here, so if I'm going to mention cards that are not on screen, I should probably just show everybody what it does. So, but most of you all should remember this card. Prior to what happened to it in its most recent printing, this equal or lower level option wasn't really there. So it was just like, all right, all your characters are just doing extra wounds and getting strikes. That made Albrecht essentially gross, especially gross with those extra strikes. So Albrecht's still good here. You can go Uber, you can go multi-strike, you can go support. 3 classes, again, just like with Fade, opens up the options. But at least they didn't make him level 4 like they did Fade. In the middle, I already mentioned Jin Valford. I already kind of mentioned the 6-man version, if you will, or like the 9-man, because you have to run Solai Eskar. But he can be a front rank option, and then you go 10-man where you have Kyle Dragon as your option. So that's what he is. He is the super cool. He can turn into a dragon. So let's actually show said dragon. So this is the option. You can just run this and have the level 7 Kyle Dragon in there. You can do a really cool deck with this. You replace your Warlord, you replace Jin with Kyle Dragon in rank 4 and then start moving up. And then you have a Dragon Warlord. And that's really cool. Was not very common back then. So super fun flavor. And he's pretty good. Like, he's not bad. The other not bad option I have is Kedrick. Just, again, massive strikes. He probably could even go down border ugly just because there isn't a lot of card draw. But monks do get a lot more support than they did in the Saga block just because, more sets have come. And they were printing things like Chire. And Monkey Paws becomes an option too. So that's why he's going to get the middle tier. But his react won't get as much mileage. Down to the ugly. And again, I said that these were all ugly warlords. They were all very playable with the starting army. Atu is probably the worst. So he's a druid warlord that does stuff with monsters. He's got okay stats, but he is the only level 5 cleric. That's probably the reason why you kind of want him, if you kind of need that aspect. But he just never was good. But there could be something there. Huntress Volda. This is probably the one I could argue to move up to a tier. Just has the Druid Ranger multi-class fighter cleric, and then the oh shit ability where if she dies, you can just pick another one of your characters who gains her traits. So all the synergy you kind of built around, but now they are your warlord. So that was always a gimmick with Maximilian and everything like that. But Volda's got some cool stuff going on. Good stats, 7 skill and +5/+5 and 16 AC. So you can, again, definitely do a good Volda deck. So probably I should move her up a tier, but I think with the other ones that you have, you can probably just go better options there, unless you really need something Druid and need something Ranger. And then that's the same problem with Kara Wadrith. Again, it's just you run one of those two if you need the Ranger, and then based off of the level that you might need. Kara, again, her ability to discard and move characters forward can come in handy. You can do a level 3 Blitz version with her and just Hawk Hatchets and support, and it'd be perfectly fine. But I didn't want to leave Ugly blank. It just felt rude. So she's kind of down there. She can also move up, but it's also like if you need a level 5 Ranger, you can also just do Jin as well. He's cooler. And then Tarek. Tarek gets better because of the characters, but Tarek is still Tarek. Don't really need to kind of talk much about him. So those would be the 3 kingdoms. Good God. God help us all. Let's move to the mercenaries. We're going to start with the warlords here. So Tavish Jape, how I mentioned pre-errata Chire would be probably through my roof. Tavish would probably be just like a little notch above him. Also had to be errata just because the support ability, the canter, well, no, not a canter, seer, but let's actually pull him up. I want to put him on the screen just so everyone can be aware. This is probably the warlord you'll see a lot of. I would say you will see, I'm going to guess 5 Tavish Japes in the field. But based off of, you have the ability, his playtest name I remember too was called the Waffler, which is really cool because he could just change his alignment. And then if he's evil, you get -3, your opponent gets -3 on rolls. And if you're good, your opponent gets +3. But the errata that they have is he doesn't change his alignment just after one of your characters performs an order. So that was just the ability. There was too much flexibility there where you can just kind of switch around your alignment. But they change it to where after you pass, you can change it. So you have to have a little bit more foresight, just to kind of do that, which is very fitting for a seer. So that's a really cool errata, but still just giving your good just giving your characters +3 to die rolls or evil, like if you're getting crushed, like -3 for your opponent. There's just so much you can do here. So he's just the ultimate support. Being a level 5 cleric gives him a lot of options. You will see a lot of him. Let's see. Let's get rid of that and let's take a look. So I have Yeskar the Elder up here. Was the best Warlord right out of the gun for Campaign Edition. The ability to search for rock form, order all the way up, put on spider form and go to town, and have all the rogue supports of Too Fast to See and all that was just, it really was the deck to beat. So, Lycanthrope also has a cool sub theme too, but that's really what it is. Like now that we're kind of at the end of CE, he's still, let's see, Chris, there are 6 factions that are better than average. Oh boy, here we go again. Now we're getting some criticism here. But Yeskar the Elder, probably still good right now. You can, again, it's not going to be where he's the clear tier 1 like he was in the beginning of CE. As you get towards the end of CE, there's a lot more options to take it, so he's a lot more frail. But still one to consider. You can absolutely win a tournament with him. Caitlyn the Free is up here. Probably the wizard, I would say. Especially the spell blitzing option. She's the one jump starter. So you can just run 1 copy of jump and tutor for that spell just by shuffling a card from your hand and just being able to cast it right away. So she gets ready in the second rank, ready to just kind of do first action chain lightning, first action magic missiles, and just spell blitz the heck out of people. Really good stats. 10 skill is good. For maybe not really good AC. You'll never need to attack. If you do, God help you. But probably again, they spell blitz Warlord here. Can also just do other cool stuff. The ability to tutor kind of opens up and lets you play with the design space of this set. And then Zartok I have up here. I had him up there as good, and nobody really played him in Saga. But he's probably better. Like a lot more of his vulnerabilities that were around make him stronger here. Actually, there is a lot of mass cancellation. Like your mass hallucinations could just get canceled by rescue, so that could be a problem. But he can still just build up his ranks and be the wizard support there. I think he's better than Sorsha because you don't have Torn Yeskar to really kind of search out for. But again, Sorsha is not bad, and that's why I have her in this mid tier here. She'll always be, but 2 HP makes her even more vulnerable, especially in CE, and loses a lot of the engine there. Just going to kind of take a look at some of the things you guys saying. Chase mainly played Dukat and Tarek. I don't know about that. Adre is a bard, yes. Is Summon Avatar in this format? Yes, it is, says Sanji. Mothrag Daggers is mentioned by Jedi Master Zance, and yes, that's who goes on out. That's who Alberic's going to take. He's going to go there and just go nuts. Poor Kara, yes. Poor Kara is one of my favorites as well. Tavis is absolutely still bad. Yeah, Tavis is always going to be bad, no problem. In the beginning of CE, Yeskar was good, but I wouldn't rate him overall in top. More not bad. Yeah, I can see the argument for that, Sly Fox, for sure. If you were kind of be like, no, Mike, put it there, I'd be like, okay, fine. I wouldn't fight you on it. But let's see. Do you just YOLO the first action MLG against Zartok? Ooh, let's see. If you're going Koziner, that's 9 skill, I think. So that's a DC 14. Yeah, I think you do. I think you YOLO it. Oh man, that's a good one. Sorsha, because Altis is here. Yes, you can do an Altis drop. I don't have those mentioned in the first cards remembered, but Altis, Morgan, those are the Dragon Lords that you can drop in this format. So you want to do cool drag and drop there and have all these other ones, like you can do it out of her. Let's move on though to the other was we have Marcus Shaw. So now everybody who saw me run the Kothka deck, my inspiration for that deck really kind of came from the Marcus Shaw in CE. This used to be a Dragon Lord killing deck. Marcus Shaw was the promo warlord. You just name a faction, you just can play those with mercenaries. And he's a bard, so he has a lot of support, bounty hunter trait just for good measure, and the ability to charisma for anything. Well, not really for anything, just by class, I think, right? Yeah, that's what he does. But you can go Serene, but instead of Karachuk, you go Rock, who, let's pop up Rock. I'm not going to know how to... Okay, I actually spelled him correctly. I am so impressed with myself that I got him in there. So he is campaign legal. Good. I always go check that. But how I was doing that deck with Serene and Karachuk, you can go Serene, Rock, King's Lady. Now you can't reduce the melee, the wounds that are going. And then even then he just has the order. And he's a barbarian, so you have some cool stuff. Doesn't have the disruption that Karachuk kind of gave with his ability. But another Drew Baker piece. That's really cool. So that's what you can do with Marcus Shaw. And then even then, just the ability to splash factions. It's a deck builder's Warlord, which I really like. I love those designs, and I love that AEG gave us that space when they made them. So Yidra, the famous wielder of the tooth. Kind of like Priam, where it just breaks the rules of the game, which is super cool. Being able to play into illegal ranks, and then just taking a look at someone's printed trait that's not Warlord and just ripping it off of them until the end of the turn is super cool. And how I was mentioning with Uber Rogues, if you weren't going Uber Rogue in Natesh or Dwarves, you can do it at a Yidra, and then you have him kind of run after you. I remember I used to do cool things with him. It wasn't too great, but it was still playable, so that's why I have him in the mid-tier here. Varsin Yeskar also can go super uber. Varsin Yeskar, I believe, killed Silas Zinn with that kind of build. So the card pool eventually kind of evolved past that, and you had options for these kind of uber people, but Varsin could still very much uber here. Also cool art and just cool abilities. And then I would be remiss to not mention Phasa. How I mentioned that Yeskar was like the top warlord. I'll take that back. Phasa was the top warlord when CE first came out before she got errated. Or received an errata. I believe that is the correct grammatical term that I should use. But I am going to pull her up a little closer here for you guys to see. And that way we can kind of take a look at her errata. So she's a ranger and a barbarian. So you get two subclasses right off the bat. She's a range striker, goes +6/+1, but her ability was like once per strike, you can play a react as if you were doing a melee strike, and then anything that increase her attack just increase her range strike bonuses. So she's basically, I'm going to melee you from afar. It just got ridiculous that she can just sit in rank 2 and essentially be a front rank fighter with all these subclasses. The drawback that they tried to do was the force skill, which is where her vulnerability would be, and that's how you would kind of answer her. But they had to scale her back. And the way they did that was, she has to be in the front rank. So she has to have a little bit more vulnerability to do that. It really did set her back a lot. But she's still super playable. Absolutely. You can do cool things with her. Maybe not cool things, but you can do aggressive things with her. And they can be very, very viable. So she's in the not bad. She didn't get completely murdered by her errata, but she definitely got put into. I'd say she's on house arrest because she ain't in hardcore jail. She ain't locked up. She ain't doing hard time lifting weights, but can do good stuff. So now let's go to the ugly. Hold on. I want to take a look. Let's see. Yidra is a warlord I always wanted to build, but I couldn't get starter until EE came out, sadly. Let's see. Wondering if you say Uber is a thing, why Yidra is bad. One of the best Uber characters in my eye. No, absolutely. That's what I was saying. I think maybe I misspoke there, but no, bad, 0, not bad. Okay, yeah, no. So you're saying that Yidra probably should be at the top. Or I don't really know exactly what you're saying, but yeah, Yidra is middle tier. Middle. But still good. Phaser killed by Areta. Yep, that's definitely the case. Skill checks is what does it. Yeah, web. Just stun there, and then that's the end of it. That definitely is a flaw to her, which web became a very common wizard spell. Taking a look at ugly warlords, I have Fasalt here. Fasalt is if you look at the classic player archetypes as defined by Magic the Gathering, you have Spike, Johnny, and Timmy. Fasalt is the Timmy Warlord. He is just so cool. The art is like hilarious. Just looking at like him just launching a random person into oblivion with these big hammers. It's a 5 HP Warlord. So he's just one of those wow factors. Like this could be really funny and cool to play. And I love that they created this guy. But in terms of the actual power level, super vulnerable once you get up there, just like most front rank fighters have. But the ability to kind of push ranks all the way back and cause them to kind of fall forward, if you get it rolling and you get those rolls really high, you can actually do stuff with him. So again, Basalt is viable, but I have him down there just because of the random luck that's kind of needed with him. But somebody went 500 with him, I would not be surprised. Ablung the Maker, the first 4-class warlord, Ablung being a lore icon, just as you kind of see in these Medusan Lord things. You see him in the flavor text already doing things with Bane. So this was really cool. This is kind of a choose your own adventure warlord. You have all these classes. You have a once per turn ability to boost a certain stat. So you can really build it however you want. The thing that kind of was the drawback here was Ablung gives you too many options that you don't know where to go. And that's why I have him in ugly. You can do Ablung as an Uber deck. You can do it as a Spellblitz deck. You can do a whole bunch of stuff. But it's never as good as all the other options you have. And because of that, the fact that it's a siege, has a siege rate is so cool. Ablung always felt like a trap to me. Yes, it is a trap. But I still like it. I like that it exists. But we have to acknowledge that the power level is not that great. That there is super flaws there. You can find a way and kill Ablung. Like literally with find a way. Kusin Baskar was their attempt at a Cantor Warlord that can do monster stuff. He's fine, but like nothing to write home about. Never kind of got everything. He can make everybody monsters. And I think like a lot of those cool monster things that kind of come in other formats. Like the cooler ones are in other formats than they are here in CE. So really cool art too. And I remember when that kind of released, I was like, oh man, this looks super cool. I kind of want to run that like a level 5 cleric. A level 5 cleric mercenary. Like, let me play that. And then all I had to do was just kind of wait for Tavis Jape to come out. Speaking of other level 5 clerics, this is one I kind of have regrets. I don't know if I really want to put him in ugly, but Simon Abraxas, I have it as ugly. Mainly because like the order, like what do you do with it? The ability to discard and redraw, it helps to minimize your stuff, and the fact that the seer is really cool. When I see Simon Abraxas, I just think mill deck. And fun story, Simon Abraxas mill was my strategy to try and kill Far and Far. Like you would just cast Asunder, Far and Far to get him spent. You would draw a whole bunch of cards into Far and Far's hand and then try to make him recycle it. All with the hope to get a bunch of monks and mentalists in the front rank as you're stunning up and then negotiated surrender Far and Far. That was my gimmick that I had hoped. In playtesting, it could work. It was like maybe 1 in 100 shot, or maybe 1 in 50. It was doable if you got the right draw, and they didn't, so it was always an option. But then when I had my chance to kind of go up against Far and Far, it was just kind of like, you lose initiative, you don't get cast asunder, and he just rips you apart first action and completely kills your army. But like that was always my strategy. I just never got enough challenges in, because everybody was always trying to go after Far and Far to do it. I don't think you can do that in a constructed format, though. So it's just... Your a normal fair warlord just might kill things, so you can kind of do things to that. Far and Far rules know how to negotiate. That's true. So yeah, I have him in an ugly. If someone does a cool deck with him, I would love you forever, but not sure it's there. So let's go to the Merc starters. These all look very familiar from Saga. A lot of them got transferred over. So looking at level 1s, those first, okay, no, not those. So 3 out of the 5 here are from Saga. Brine Fiend will transcend every single format and will always be a starter. There's a reason why Brine Fiend is going to be in the 20th anniversary one as an alt-art card. Iconic, absolutely. Amadasi's Fire, also super good. If you need that DC check, the DC check is kind of how you get around Brother Domity. If you want to start killing those Spencers, you can Amadasi's Fire them. But at the same time, they're getting 2 strikes to roll even on you, so it still might be worth trying. Regret Shadow gets the benefit from stealth being changed, and also Planner. It's also Abyssal, so that's why I have Skincaller mentioned in level 2. In my Saga one, I said you can do the Nightclaw Skincaller. I would go Regret Shadow Skincaller now. Don't really need Nightclaw mentioned here. Gandwarian is the unique level 1 who can help with Dragon Wrench. It's going to sit there in rank 1 and your opponent's never going to kill it. But if they are stupid enough to do, or if you want to kill it yourself with your own like Amadasi's Wrath, you absolutely can. And then Kale Rowan. Kale eventually becomes a Warlord in Epic. So stay tuned for when I do that analysis. Kale Rowan needed to be errated because just never died and was very stupid. Let's pull him up so everybody can see. So before fixing an illegal rank caused by a character's death, remove a character from your discard pile and put him in. So just gave way too much stability and way too much recursion, especially if you had 2 of these in there. So they had to change it. Before fixing an illegal rank caused by another character's death, remove 2 characters from the discard pile and put into play in front of the legal one. So increase the amount of characters you need to remove, which, you know, when you're playing 25 characters, one of which is your Warlord, it scales down the ability to kind of do that, but still very playable, very good because of that now. But so definitely gets mentioned here. The feeling you get when you miss hitting a Brine Fiend is nothing but salt. That's true. That could absolutely just demoralize your opponent and then cause them to just play on tilt. That's for real. First one says by a character's death, not another's. So was it errata twice? Oh yeah. So like that's also the other change they did. Because before fixing an illegal rank caused by a character's death, so it could be their own. So basically, before KO would die, just remove a character from the discard pile, and then that's it. So that was the other fix there. Take a look at level 2s. Gilbert Bask is here. I mentioned him a little earlier when I mentioned Cardinal's Blessing. Gilbert Bask, Cardinal's Blessing just will boost up your character to get +6/+6. And that is a very viable option, especially for like a multi-striking character that might more Warlord out there. Or Uber with Abla. That's also an option. Argus Gawk is mentioned as the second rank range tracker. Other than Amadasi's Wrath, who I don't really need to kind of talk about. Everyone knows, you know, you saw it with Saga. Everyone knows Wrath. Wrath is good. Gets around Planner. And it has its own Planner in there just so it can combat aggression coming its way. But Argus Gawk gives a little bit more to it. So it's a spend order. You get a strike. You don't really care what the bonus is. Like even then, it's usually inconsequential if your strike bonus is 0 through whatever. But the cool effect is that your opponent has to choose one of their cards and show it to them. And then that level is what the bonus will be. So usually they'll show you like a lower level character or anything like that. That's information that you can now use to your advantage. You know 20% of their hand. You know what's coming. So it fits the Sears trait, which is super cool. But then sometimes you're like, just using that ability, they can't hide the fact that they draw a bad hand. And then you know, okay, they're either showing me a level 10 item just for fun, or they just drew like crap, and it's just go, 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 go. So I like that ability. I like that aspect of Argus Gawk. So definitely gets a nod. Light is here, just creates a critical success for both you and your opponent. Yours could carry over to the next turn. That's important to note. So if you don't use light during your turn and everybody's kind of spent out, last thing you do before you pass is use light. You will win initiative with a critical success, unless your opponent wins a critical success, and then I think you tie. But the drawback, of course, is you're giving your opponent that. So you have to play around this, but Light is also the enabler of a lot of combos too. So worthy of a start for sure. Already mentioned Skincaller with Regret Shadow, and then Tyron Ruskin. If you want to put like someone like Light, you might probably want to pair him with Ruskin just to protect him from any second rank shenanigans. Or Gilbert Bask, same thing. You kind of want to protect him there. So yeah, those are the Free Kingdom starters or potential starters. There's also other ones you can probably do, but I'd say this is a good start. No pun intended. Choice of words were not really considered right there. So let's move to the last faction. Those little green guys. Let's go for the Mothrags. So we have here, again, we have 4 good options, I would say. We have Artek, Dezikra, Bricta, and Uthenak. So starting with Artek. Artek is the one that probably everybody will remember. Artek is just order, move forward. Artek is the 6-man blitz. I play a lot of fighter melee strikes and just murder your army. It's the glass cannon, go, go, go. It's why Krun was mentioned as good in Saga. And that's why Krun is now not bad. Like, you really have zero incentive to run Krun over Artek. Well, very minimal incentive. Just, if you really just, blasphemy. Exactly. Loyalty is the only reason why you'd ever want to run Krun over Artek. But without that bias and without that loyalty, Artek is always the answer. I guess you need Krun if you need 7 skill. That's why you need Krun. Power attack in order to move forward. Artek is going to need to have the ability to stop being exhausted. So exhaustion is probably something you want to pack if people are going to lean Artek. If you don't have exhaustion and you run against Artek, you're in trouble. You probably just will not survive more than 10 minutes in the match. Dezikra was the rogue scout, and it gives you, again, the design aspect that I love about some of these cards is Dezikra empowers you to make that decision of do you move forward or do you do a range strike? So you have flexibility, you have options, and it empowers you to make good plays. I love card designs like this. It's really, really cool. So once per turn after a character enters play, she gets this trigger. So you also have to kind of time it. You have control over that, or you can do it while your opponent does it. So you can get some tempo. It really fits into the Mothrag being like battle strategist theme too. Super thematic, super good, super simple, super clean. Love Dezikra. She's absolutely a tier 1 warlord. We then go to another one of the 10 warlords, Bricta. Now, I do have to do some more research here, make sure that Bricta got all the toys that make her super insane. But the fact that she can power attack every strike, and that she gets super stronger and super extra strikes as she gets more wounds on her. She's kind of the nuclear winter of CE. So you can boost her up with extra HP. She can be healed, unlike with Winter. Bricta plus Primal Rage is nuts. Yes, it is, as long as she does not get exhausted. Just like with every fighter, so you got to be careful there. But she can just house everybody by herself. So just if your deck is prepared for her, you can probably win. But she's someone who demands respect. So do not sleep on her. Uthenak is there. Uthenak is the cavalry option for Mothrag. Unless you're going siege, then you have the two people directly below him as your options there. But order move forward. Again, super clean assign. He's one of the original warlords too from Saga. So he still is good here. When CE first came out, Uther Monk, when paired with the Southern Kingdom's monks like Aradan, was just really, really good. Still is good now. You'll see, I can mention more about it once we get to starters. You can go Brawlig with Urchank and just use Uthenak first action to get 3 strikes. So it's really cool. Krun I already talked about. Micaiah I have is not bad. Micaiah can probably even be brought down to ugly, but let's put him in the middle. Just very vanilla, but a fighter wizard that's level 5, so feel free to build that. Let's talk about the other 2, the Siege Warlords. I have Seth Hellbringer here in the middle. We'll start with that. he's a viable, like the doing additional wounds, but like the ability to raise siege is really good. So like that's kind of like the safer siege warlord, I would say. But if you want, I'd say the ceiling is higher, which Savone Ashen Storm. You can get super aggressive, but super glass cannoning with her and just absolutely murder face. Letting like based off, and again, she's also a warlord where it fits into the Mothrag strategy of the opponent has to be able to decide whether or not they're going to spend or not, or you might be able to kind of force spend them and then have her just like with Savone. You're not safe. Her with Paradigm Shift is huge at being a wizard. So if you misplay, your warlord gets Paradigm Shift to rank 2. It's now spent. Siege strikes now go an extra rank, range strikes. So Catapult Crew goes 4 ranks. Ballista Crew can hit you from far away. But I believe she also gives, if I'm remembering correctly, her she has wheeled pikes. So Savone Ashen Storm. Just making sure. Yeah, melee strikes inflict additional wounds. So her with wheeled pikes is super good. I have them on the next slide, so we'll kind of just wait there. But you can do stuff like Paradigm Shift, cause illegal ranks to move forward, triple wheeled pikes in the front rank, and just go nuts. So I like her. I wouldn't say it's good just because she is glass cannony and it's high risk, high reward. But when it works, it's beautiful. So love me some Savone. There's a lot of ugly, though, in Mothrags. And it is a little disheartening. First was Norn. So Norn was just, again, it was one of those like, okay, cool. It's an assassin. It's a rogue wizard. But like just has too many handcuffs for no good reason. I like Norn. I have a soft spot. You build a good Norn deck, like I commend you on it. But it is really tough. You have a lot working against you. Thing with Archon too. So Archon like could be good, just that he gets outshined by a lot of the other warlords. Really, the fighter rogue ability. So paying the price both bonuses is pretty cool. But I think cornering the mark is campaign legal, so that's a cool thing you can do with him. I think I spelled cornering wrong. Yes, I did. So let's show you cornering the mark. So with Archon, you could do this if like an opponent's going to stun somebody up and then you use cornering the mark to move up and swing. That's something that he can do. That's pretty cool, but it's just not that good. So I have him as ugly. Maybe he is not bad. I don't know. But I don't think so. I think you can just do better. You have better options here. Donner of Clan Hell was it's just a frost giant. This was one of the promo warlords that came out. Does an additional wound with melee strikes, but has a built-in range strike that may target an additional rank away. So he just throws things very far. It's a clean design. It's just not too bad, not too good. So like because it's outclassed by all these other options, like if this was like a core set warlord, it would be cool. But just not a lot to write home about. Sulak is cool. I like him. But I have to kind of put him down here. Just to play him over Desi is just usually a mistake. But he is the melee-centric rogue that you can kind of go for. But your opponent can really just decide how they want to play against it. Like, again, this is one of those things where it puts the decision on your opponent. But for here, your opponent can probably outplay Sulak if they know what they're doing. So you could get a lot of... That's the thing. It's like the worse your opponent is, the more mileage you get at your warlord. And I just don't feel strongly about cards that have that kind of design. Where it's like, if you're good enough, you're just going to beat bad players. Even in a game where a D20 decides your success or not. So you always have your player skill, but I'd rather always have a card that empowers me to make good decisions, where instead of one where I have to hope my opponent makes bad ones. Last but not least is Vakaros, very close to my last name. So I have a soft spot for him. He is the summoner, but he is super, super squishy. 2 HP and has repost just because he came out in counterattack. So it has absolutely nothing to do with his actual design, just because of the set he falls into. His order to kind of just kill one of your characters and just do a range strike it's there. He just is very frail. if you're going to go level 5 wizard, I think Savone is better. So that's why he's down here. Again, just if he's going to get carried by the strength of the other Mothrag characters, like if you want to play him with like Uncertain Path and like move your big characters up to the front, you can. But even then, just him as a summoner, like he has those cards. That's really the only incentive to play him. But you can just do better with a lot of other cavalry. And he's not going to be spell blitz. He's not better spell blitz either. So he gets sent down there. Need to rehydrate. Cheers to you guys for staying with me for so long. We're moving on to 2 hours here. But we're moving to the last slide. So with this, after we get to the last slide, like I'll give some kind of final thoughts. But if you have any questions you guys want me to cover, just start thinking about them and we'll kind of go to that. Tira saying they miss Mercs. Oh, you guess you'll have to watch the video on demand. I'll get you to get that extra view. Give me those Twitch dollars, bud. So Mothrag potential starters. There is a whole lot of characters on this slide. You have a lot of options, and it really kind of depends on how you want to go. So let's start going from left to right. So we have Arix here. This is the additional strike option. It has a lower attack where it's +1 and 9 AC. So, I mean, you ain't going to get high AC from Mothrags. So that's just fine. But it's after, kills an opposing character with a certain class, with a melee strike, 4 melee strike added with the same class. So as long as they're not starting the tri-start of the Free Kingdoms, you can like swing at Spencer hit, swing at Spencer hit. So, or Brine Fiends, like swing at Brine Fiend, swing at Brine Fiend. So you can do things like that. Akvok is still there.
Yuck, yuck.
Thank you, Mitch, for gifting another sub. I always appreciate it. Thank you for Hida Hayabusa for taking advantage of that gifted sub. So welcome to the sub family. Akvok is super cool. That might be why Fat just dropped sub. He loved Akvok. Akvok is so cool. I'm going to go all in. And, I'm either gonna go down. I'm either gonna hit or go down fighting. I like it. Albino Novice I have mentioned here just because there probably is some cool cheeky stuff you can do. Before he dies, your next melee or range strike is a critical success. So just kind of leaving it there makes your opponent think twice. You probably want to drop Albino Novice as a character that they just won't kill right off the bat, because leaving a floating critical success could be very, very scary. For that reason, you can mention that it could be a potential starter. It probably won't be your first choice, but it's there. Wheeled Pikes, as I mentioned, if you want to get the super speed, super aggression, that's where you're going to go. And again, with Savone, matches the alignment, so they're both good. You can't even distrust them. But just the ability to basically go, I say is like the outmatched ability. Just, you fell forward, you're going to pay for that. So it's really cool. Vaxen is an optional starter. One that people kind of did when they were trying to do Cavalry Warlords. And just if once one of them dies, you spend the other 2 characters to lock out the front. Could be very good with, again, Spencer's. But even then, like, Spencer could get 2 of them before you lock out the other characters. So just not as good. It's there, though, if you need it. It was part of Savric's Legion because it has like the cool little I do defensive things in response to you. Lorik is the level 1 range striker via melee. So Lorik makes his debut here. Can absolutely disrupt your opponent's thing. So I like that. Again, fits with the Mothrag strategy here. In my opinion, Lorik is the most solid option, says Tira. So, yeah, he can very well. He has the highest AC. And just, again, gives you more options to make the decision there. And could punish bad deck building for sure. I have Ernak here. Ernak here is if you want to do really, really cool things where you rush somebody to the front and then give them that tempo. Ernak can be mentioned with Brolic there in the bottom right. Just a 2-striker monk that once it hits the front right, like once it attacks, it like if it hits, it gets another melee strike. So it could be just a first action 3 strikes with Uthanac especially, and then you have Erg, who is just always good. Erg enables you to play characters like Ernak, where you can kind of protect them until you're able to pull off what they need and not have to rely on initiative. I see in the chat we have a question of where is Lysara? Lysara is fine. But even then, do you really need the one extra attack and one extra AC that you can just get from Lorik? That's tough. It's usually not worth it. Maybe if you need to go Rogue, you can go Vaxen too, though. So the +2 with +12, yeah. Like again, that was the Saga choice, I would say, but have to kind of take a look at that. I would say there's just too many other options you can go with. I mean, if you went Lysara, it's not bad. So I guess it should be mentioned here, but look at how much room I had. Somebody had to stay home. Lysara doesn't get the invite. For level 2s with an Axe Tower, always good. Just getting 2 of those right next to each other, it can create a headache unless they have Amadosi's Fire or some kind of DC check. Temba Bam is your, if you don't want to go Ballista Crew, that's usually your level 2 striker, where again, you have the option. You can hit their second rank, you can hit their front rank. So Temba Bam's super good. And the Wizard if you want to cast some spells. Phython is the, I'm going to heal Artek. That's why he's there. And to get some Druid shenanigans. I don't know if the Druid shenanigans are really in this set. I'm going to take a look. I don't think Tree Walk is even in here, but not sure. He can cast Mudslick. That's pretty cool. Mudslick is legal, right? I didn't really take a look at the Druid stuff. Let's see. No, Mudslick is not in here. Wait, is it? Yes, it is here. Okay. Mudslick is an option. I don't think Tree Walk is an option, right? Tree Walk is not. Tree Shape is, but not Tree Walk. Brel is here for the ability to just make a siege, absolutely rip somebody open. Thankfully, Trebuchet is not legal in this, so you have to work a little bit more. You can't go double Brel, Trebuchet, kill your Warlord in 2 actions. You have to work a little harder, but still very good ability for that. So that's why you might want to consider starting 1 or even 2. But front rank is a little frail, so you might not want to go 2. Might want to just go for the 1. Ballista Crew will always be viable. It's 2 wounds, just the Mothrag aggression there. The ability to avoid the uberness too of ignoring the AC from Armor, Shield, and Helm gives it some longevity for playing towards the end. But it also kills Brine Fiends. So he is the Ballista Crew is the Brine Fiend Hunter. Hellbringer's Quill is here just to kind of mention, like, it is a spend order, just a 1-shot +7. So if you're worried about people doing high AC starters, Hellbringer's Quill could be good, especially against Brother D. Like, that's the option right there. Just spend all your charges and kill that thing before it starts going nuts. Unfortunately, you'll have to then respond to a bunch of Farrells taking some shots at you. But if you really need to kill Domini, that's what you do. Hellbringer's Quill. And then that also could potentially get an extra rank with Savone. So worth considering for that reason. And then I already talked about Brolic. With that, we've come to the conclusion. So 2 hours and 8 minutes, we have concluded our talk on Campaign Edition. So that is my takes. Again, I gave the same caveat at the beginning. This is not written in stone. I am not the authority of what you can and cannot play, and I love to be proven wrong. But these are just my gut feelings, just based off of taking a look at the card pool, what I remember from being there and playing it when it was an actual thing. I do remember early CE a lot better than I remember later CE, which is a little weird. You would think that I'd remember the more recent stuff, but early CE was like one of my fondest memories playing Warlord. Like, I love that early card pool, so that's why it just stuck with me the most. But for anybody who wasn't around and playing the game back then, this hopefully gives you at least a starting point of where to look, because that's always the hardest thing. Is like, there's just so many cards, and like, it's something you've never played. It's like, all right, where do I start? I would say use this as a starting point, and then again, just find something that you are more comfortable with, and that is just something that plays to your play style as a player. So if there's a Ancient Warlord that you played, as long as it's not like, well, I played combo. Well, I mean, if you were a combo player, play Bronwyn Tanzik. It's a Glass Canony combo, but that you can't be somebody who, like, it's like, oh, I love playing Dragon Ranger. I played in open, so all I like was Belial Dragons, and well, there are Dragon Drop decks that you can do here. So you kind of like look into that, and any kind of mention I have of these, like, you can kind of use that. But yeah, so most importantly, I would say just have fun with this. Like, I loved building for Saga. I think I'm going to love building for Campaign Edition. I do have some restrictions on what I can and cannot build because I did win the bet that I had with Wes, where since I was able to assign him his Warlords for Saga, I just was like, you know what? I feel bad that I deprived you of the ability to build. Like, I was going to say, like, I will take that same challenge for any one of the upcoming ones. So we did a bet in the Saga one based off of either if Dow Foster's Kothka or Jackal of Morn's Wraith finished better, whichever one of our horses went, I get to choose. Like, if I won, I got to choose which block I get assigned. So, and so not the Warlords. He still gets to choose which Warlords I get assigned. But I get to choose which block. And I chose Campaign Edition because I kind of want to build for Epic Edition. I think I'm going to need to build more for Epic. Campaign, I think I can get assigned like a mediocre Warlord and kind of pull through. So I will see what I can do there, but I got to check with him to see what options he gave. I told him to hold off until after this analysis in case there is something that I offend him with, and he's like wants me to like, oh, you said it's bad? No, go ahead, play that one instead. So we'll see. I'm going to get 3 Warlord options, and I get to choose one of those. So looking forward to see what I have to build. He gave me a little bit of taste of some of them. And I think they're all pretty cool. And I do get 1 mulligan, so I can basically get like a reroll. Like, no, I don't want that one. Give me something else. So I'll see, but I'll still kind of build some good decks. I'll do the same thing I did for Saga, where I built a bunch of decks and then like we didn't play them, so I just waited to the end and played some funny games. I'll do that again. So hope you guys enjoyed. Let's take a look. Any kind of last minute questions here. Thank you for the analysis. 2 hours is super impressive for a game this old. Thank you very much, Mahamudi Jin. I appreciate that. Early CE was great. Yes, Midge, it absolutely was. Thanks to the stream, Slyfox. Thanks for watching, always supporting, and thank Slyfox for covering the other top 8 matchup, Azerin versus Teferoth. Yeah, so go check out his channel if you haven't, and if you want to see that game, how that went. He also asked if I'm going to be streaming the match tonight. Tonight being German time, so an hour and 45 minutes essentially from here. I think I am. I think I'll take a lunch break and then kind of get to it. But I'm not going to fully commit to it. So I most likely will, we'll say. But if, I have to kind of take care of a few things here, if I don't get that done in time, then I won't. But that should be a quick matchup, I think. So I should have the time to fit that in. And that's what I'm going to try and do. Get you guys as much content. 2 streams in one day. Look at this. I give you guys so many streams every so often. Now you want 2 a day? Like, I'm going to need a few more subs for that. But anyway, guys, it's been fun. I love talking Warlord. I'll keep talking Warlord with you guys. Any questions you guys have, any comments, definitely send it to me on Discord, send it to me on Facebook Messenger, anything you guys want. Really appreciate your guys' support. And, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you around and enjoy watching the last few matches of Saga, but also enjoy brewing for Campaign Edition. Good luck, everybody, and have fun.